You're the wrestler guy. Do you have any takeaways from that? Did you watch it?
No, I didn't watch it because I knew it was going to be exactly what it was. Listen. I bit on the Mayweather Pacquiao fight. I will not again.
I was actually in Vegas for the Mayweather Pacquiao
Wow.
fight.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I was actually at one. It was a fun ass weekend. Squad up, Cinco Squad back in the house again. We outside. Sports is full effect. We got football going. We got basketball going. College basketball is heating up. College football, more rankings starting to heat up. I know it feels a little bit weird again. You only see my guys with me, Grandpa Jay, my guy Mikey, and me. We're missing John again, so it feels a little bit weird. Now, I'll let you in on a little secret. So John's a big Syracuse fan. You know where he's at right now? He's out there celebrating with Cayenne and Carmelo. They signed a deal. Now, Cayenne, of course, shout out to him, shout out to Lala, shout out to Carmelo. Got to shout that out. I love seeing him actually go to his father's school. Kind of gave me chills actually watching him put on that Syracuse jersey. I'm not even a Syracuse fan, but yeah, working on the streets, John and all them are out celebrating. So he's not with us right now, but John will be back with us real soon. I will say that moment made me feel old. So I kind of feel like Jay watching that happen.
Yeah.
Jay, what is a moment in sports that made you be like, damn, I'm kind of getting old here?
Boy, there's a lot. There's a
So
lot.
many to count.
I feel like I'm getting old, but maybe one of the moments I would say that has probably really made me say, like, boy, I can't believe we got to this point, is hearing NBA players that I used to love in my teenage years talk about their sons, like you say, getting ready to commit, whether it's to play in college or whether it's to try and get a shot at the NFL or whatever it might be. It's just freaky to see these young athletes that you knew their progression coming out of college, and all of a sudden they're talking about their son's progression. It's like, wait, dude, wait, what? Like, how did we get there already? Way too fast, way too soon. So yeah, I'm on this Carmelo train where all of a sudden we're talking about his son going to play for Syracuse. It's like, no, bro, I was just watching you dunk the ball over everybody in the league and hit threes in anybody's face. What the hell?
What about you, Mike? What was the moment?
I mean, you'd think, now 29 years now, you would think like, oh, he hasn't had that many. There's actually been a few. Like, from a baseball perspective, watching like guys like Jeter and Mariano and Pettit go, that was pretty crazy. Probably one of the more recent ones I would say that popped into my head when you asked that question was also seeing kids, but specifically in football. Well, first of all, we know Marvin Harrison Jr., but seeing Frank Gore Jr., like seeing him play, or Elijah Holyfield, not a football player, but Evander Holyfield, like seeing those kinds of guys, like I'm like, somebody give me my walker.
Even Sabonis, right? It's like, yo, I remember Sabonis and the like Blazers Lakers rivalries that was going on in the late '90s, and here's Sabonis trying to beat the Lakers now. So it's fun to watch it.
Yeah, that felt different. I mean, I guess to piggyback on Mike, you mentioned Marvin Harrison Jr., there was a particular moment where Ohio State was playing Penn State, and they said, okay, the big matchup to watch today, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to get Joey Porter Jr., and I said, oh, my God. Like a flashback, because I just remember the coach playing the Steelers and Joey Porter trying to take off Marvin Harrison's senior's head, and now watching two juniors, and I'm like, man, this is like crazy. And then the Steelers ended up drafting Porter Jr., so now I'm like fired up watching him every week play as a Steelers fan, and it's like, this is almost like I'm turning back the clock and I'm rewatching this all over again. It's crazy.
Let me ask you guys a genuine question, especially you, Trey, as an Ohio State fan that watched the man play for 3 years. Will Marvin Harrison Jr.'s career feel right if he doesn't end up a Colt at some point?
I think so, and the reason why, honestly, because the fact that he's built so different, at times you can still disassociate the two because they have the name. If he kind of ran like his dad was kind of skinny and ran these kind of like crossing routes and all that, then I feel like, okay, yeah. Because it's always weird to me, just like, this is Marvin Harrison Sr., but I know what he was known for, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is a big motherfucker for real.
Yeah.
So it like feels like I don't know what Marvin Harrison Jr.'s mother, if she has like some genes too, because I'm like somewhere some genes made this dude not just Marvin Harrison Sr.'s child. Jay, what about you?
Arch Manning is kind of weird to see it playing at this level. I'm not gonna lie. Where it's like I'm just used to the uncles, and now they're on the Manning cast, and they get to talk about their nephew in a couple of years. Like that, that's a bit freaky and says. But Marvin Harrison does not have to be a Colt. I feel like he's probably found home in the desert. And like I said last week, boys, watch out for this Arizona Cardinals team. They're making some moves.
We'll see. They're fresh off the bye week, so we'll see what they do.
Mhm.
Honestly, you made a good point. I didn't think about this, but whenever Arch makes it the Manning cast
Yeah,
and he has to play, I don't know if they're going to just take the week off because that's
yeah.
going to be a really weird Manning cast that week. Speaking of Manning cast, I see an Eli Manning jersey. I see some twinkling in the eyes over there. Looks like Mike has a little bit on his mind. What's on your
Yes.
mind this week, Mike?
Well, take us over to the ice for Mike's mind because hockey season is in full effect, and I've been super excited. And there's a recent, we talk about like young phenoms and stuff like that, like Arch and Marvin Harrison Jr. and Joey Porter Jr. and all them. But another young phenom on the ice happened to achieve a milestone recently. Connor McDavid, he actually recently reached 1,000 career points at just the age of 27. He's the fourth youngest and fourth fastest games wise to reach that plateau. He did it in 659 games, which is crazy. The players ahead of him right now are Wayne Gretzky at 424 games, Mario Lemieux at 513 games, and Mike Bossy at 656 games. Very good company. Very, very good company. And I promise you, even if you don't know out there who Mike Bossy is, very good company. He's a very good player with the Islanders. However, technically, McDavid is actually the fifth fastest to do it because Wayne Gretzky, if you separate it, is the first and second fastest to do it. So, like I said, 424 games to get to his first 1,000 points. He then followed it up with another 1,000 points in 433 games.
Wow.
So he also, on a side note, remains the only player to reach 2,000 career points. So yeah, Gretzky is the first and second fastest to ever reach 1,000 points because he did it twice.
Just to spin off on that real quick, we also have to pay homage to the greats because, and here's what I'll throw out to you guys. Do you feel like having the opportunity to pursue that record to become a legend in your sport keeps you vigored and alive and really makes you have that youthful energy that gives you the potential to still play like you're in your 20s? And I say that because Ovechkin, even though he just went down with a leg injury, currently leads the NHL in scoring. And LeBron just had his sixth straight triple double recently. Lakers on a 6-game win streak, playing some of his best ball right now. Do you feel like if they didn't have that legendary status chase to be the greatest of all time in certain records, that they wouldn't be playing at this level? And that's why you don't see guys at this age doing it?
I think to an extent because it gives you something to chase. Even if you're always chasing a championship, but even if you realistically are not in championship contention, it gives you something to still keep looking forward to. And I think even for Bron, the last couple of years, it's been okay. I'm chasing Kareem. And then it's been somebody brought it up years ago. He's been chasing the ghost of Michael Jordan. So no matter what, he has to keep busting ass. If let's say LeBron was declared the unanimous best player in the NBA back in season 13, I don't know, maybe he hangs it up, maybe he gets relaxed, or he has to do the crazy Tom Brady thing and just start making stuff up in his head of finding reasons to keep going out there. But you gotta have something it's just like life. You gotta have something to be passionate and want to wake up and do every day. And I think that's what it is for him. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I think it depends on the athlete you're looking at, what's their mindset at. Is there, because I think every athlete has things they want. Obviously, they're competitive, they have things they want to chase. It's just, what do they need to chase in order to find the will to continue to go out on the field or the ice or the pitch or whatever, however you want it, whatever, avenue, whatever arena they're in. Some guys, I think it's as simply as just love of the game. Like they just keep chasing the love of the game and they just keep loving to play. Some guys, I think, are chasing titles and records all the time and notoriety and things like that. So I think it's just who you're really talking about. But yeah, I think it definitely helps. Like I can put myself in their shoes and be like, yeah, okay, if I think like in Ovechkin's case, I'm super close and I'm talented enough and still, have good enough, strength in myself to be able to continue to score at a pace where I think I can set this record, yeah, I'm going out there and I'm going to try to set this record.
Got you. So, I mean, yeah, it has to be something that ultimately just. I remember Pat Riley. He used to always talk about having the disease of more. And it was always, how am I going to keep this team winning? What am I going to do after we win 2 to say, okay, let's go for a 3-peat? You know, Pat Riley was really the person who started talking back-to-backs and 3-peats back when he had the Showtime Lakers. So it's something in, like, just the way he sets his mind up. Something I've always kind of looked at is there's multiple ways you want to build a team, right? If you have a coach. Now, you can hire 2 different ways. You can either hire a culture setter, somebody that comes in and they say, okay, I'm going to come in and change the culture. But then you have some of these guys, and they're more of like the hot shot play caller. And I'm talking football in particular, where they are the guy that's like the X and O guy. So like your Shanahan's, your McVays. If you were a GM, which route would you take, Jay? Would you look more at, let me put a culture setter in place, or would you be looking more at, let me find the next hot shot play caller?
So from the perspective of I was a GM, because me personally, I'm a culture guy that feels like give a man time to build a culture, and then like your boy Mike Tomlin, and things are going to be good for a long time. But as a GM that understands that my ass is on the line and we need to win now, that hot shot play caller is going to give my team the best opportunity to put themselves in positions to probably win more often. Because what he's doing, he's bringing out the best in players. He's finding ways to get the most out of players as that hot shot caller. The culture guy is the patient one. The culture guy is the one that's okay waiting. The culture guy is the one that knows that his right guy might not be there yet, so I'm okay waiting for the leader. If you guys are okay allowing me to wait this long for us to recruit him or bring him in from another place or draft him or whatever it is. But if I want, knowing the pressure of the owner, knowing the way sports is right now, that hot shot caller, your Sean McVay, he's going to come in and he's going to find a way to move that needle much faster. And in terms of me being a little bit selfish, in terms of keeping my job security, I'll bring that hot shot in so he can move our team along a little bit quicker in that process towards that chip.
Now, this isn't a dig, Mike. With the Giants, there's a chance they could be looking for a new coach.
Yeah.
You're running the Giants. What way are you going to try to, let's say, get your Giants back on track?
Well, I definitely think it's another case where it kind of depends on the organization, the ownership, the franchise history, things like that. Specifically for the Giants, though, I can answer this question for what the Giants, I think, need to do, therefore what I believe in. I'm also a culture guy, so I'm going to go with the culture setter only because play calling is great. Like, being able to call like great plays and knowing exactly what play to run is great, but if the team isn't together, and frankly, at times we've had genius play callers that are assholes. Like, if they don't, especially in today's, sports world, if they don't want to play for you, or if you are rubbing the players the wrong way, like, it doesn't matter how good of a play caller you are, because they're not good. You still need to give the effort. You still need to be in it. And frankly, for the Giants case, like, yeah, we need a culture setter because we don't have one. Like, we don't have a culture right now because there's constant turnover in the organization. So being that that's the case, being that it's still going to be a lot of new guys coming in the next couple of years to fill all of these positions of need and continue to kind of find whatever answers they can get at positions, having a culture setter in place that can integrate those guys quickly and understand like how to build I'm big on team building up the team so that everybody's working as a unit. So I think that's why a culture setter is more important overall than necessarily. Plus, in a sport like football, genius play callers are great, but at the same time, you have, I don't even know how many coaches at this point on every team. So it's not like you can't get like in football, you can get coordinators that, okay, are genius play callers. But as far as a head coach goes,
Right.
I think setting the culture is important.
Michelle, let me spin it on you, Trey. So you're trying not to have Boston go ahead and win 19, 20, right? You don't want Boston to just go ahead and run away with this titles lead here. So from a Lakers fan's perspective, who would you bring in?
I'm going a culture setter. Now, if you're saying Lakers, I think JJ is actually a little bit of both. But if I had to pick one, I mean, I'm saying this across all sports. I'm going to culture setter. One of my favorite coaches I like in the NBA is I like Ime because Ime set the culture. You talk about Boston. The reason Boston is that because he set the culture. He made those guys accountable, and that's part of, and they said it themselves, why Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are the guys there today, because he set a certain tone and didn't take the shit from them. I'm not gonna say anybody can drop X and O's, but if you're a good coach, you can find other guys that maybe can draw up the plays and dial it up. But a culture setter is a much harder thing to find. That's something you're almost born with. You don't just build up a guy like, and there's a rumor today, I probably saw that Ray Lewis made it becoming coach, and it's on the thing.
Saw that.
You don't, somebody like that's born like that. Ray Lewis, you don't just go in there and say, all right, I'm going to work on becoming this guy. No, that dude was born out the crib, probably yelled at the damn doctor. Yeah, so like that's like, so for me, I love the culture setter. I like when I watch Dan Campbell because they're out there talking about, if you don't come out there and play with us, we're gonna bust your ass. Like I'm literally hearing players talk, and it's something about that where I can find a Ben Johnson great to go call the plays, but if you don't have that guy to set the tone, the Lions aren't having this type of mentality, and that's where for me, basketball, football, wherever, I'm finding the guy that's gonna, you come in and say, I'm not taking this shit, and this is who we are. And if you don't like it, then hey, there's another 31 franchises in this league that you can go play for.
But the clock ticks, and at some point the when once the sand runs out, there's no turning it over, right? Hence John Calipari at Kentucky, because when you are in charge of certain programs and the expectation is you win a chip or you're not doing your job, it doesn't even matter how healthy the culture is, right? I mean, it's really the fan base demands it. Like this is what this program is about. We win a championship every decade. It didn't happen, so the culture is super healthy. We love it. Like nobody has sent more players to the NBA in the last decade. But what do you have to prove for it other than Anthony Davis? You signed the right guy in the right year and it hit. Other than that, you flunked out of every Final Four, and that's not what Kentucky fans want. That's not what Kentucky basketball is about. So sometimes I feel like
I ask this real quick though, Jay.
Yeah.
What do you consider Dan Hurley?
Dan Hurley is, to me, Dan Hurley is probably gone. But you have to remember, it even go deeper than that, right? Dan Hurley comes from a family of coaches, right? So it's more intertwined in who he is as a person. And he's just bringing his values as an individual to connect, and as well as the fact that, this guy played, the game at a very high level in terms of knowing I was always outmatched. So he also had that dog in him, right? So he's coming with the dog mentality, with bringing his family values into it, because that's what the family was. The family stood for building healthy culture. I mean, how long was his dad coaching at the high school for, Mikey? 30, 40 years at the Matha? How long was he there? Ever, right? So what he learned was you don't leave somewhere because the grass ain't greener, So as long as UConn can keep him, and I don't know how much longer, because somebody's ready to bring him to the NBA, and after the three-peat, if they can keep him, good for them. But I don't see it happening if they win that third one.
Corner 3, we're back to business. We love to fire coaches. We love to talk about how coaches suck, but let's give a couple some love this time. Uno, Kenny Atkinson. The Cavs have pretty much brought back the same team. And the only real change they've made is they brought in Kenny Atkinson as the coach. The rotations have looked more crisp. They've gotten a good amount of improvement from Garland and Mitchell in the backcourt. When you look at the flow, they're flowing more smoothly. Evan Mobley, he's starting to looking like he's taking a clear step forward. And I'm talking not just on the defensive side, but on the offensive side, which is what we've been asking for. It's really early, but this reminds me a bit of history. Remember years ago when the Warriors had Mark Jackson, and we were all like, yeah, Mark Jackson seems like a pretty good coach, but it seemed like he had kind of capped out the potential there. And then Steve Kerr comes in, and he unlocks the next pieces. He takes Draymond up a step. He takes the rest of the team up. I'm not saying that's how it's going to happen, but who knows? History would tell if maybe the Cavs are striking back with history in a similar type move. Dose. JB Bickerstaff, yes, I know I just went there and said the Cavs would improve without you, and they did. But it's the thing, JB. It was time for him to lead the Cavs. But that doesn't mean JB's necessarily a bad coach. Maybe he's the guy that comes in, he figures out how to develop youth, and then he moves on. Because right now, the young Pistons, they're playing ball, and they're actually going hard. I'm looking at Jaden Ivey. He's looking better. And, last year they couldn't figure out what to do with that guy, Cade. He's looking like the guy who was supposed to be the first pick in that draft, and it's been great to see. They've already at the halfway point in wins from what they were at before. They already have multiple wins at 7 compared to the last time I have a 14. Yeah, that's a big upgrade there. JB has those guys competing every day. Maybe JB Bickerstaff is going to be the youth whisperer. Tress, JJ Redick, again, similar thing with the roster. Same coach, not too much has changed. JJ so far, he's unlocked AD. He hasn't looked like the MVP candidate we've been begging for him to look like. So far, he's been able to save LeBron minutes when he needs to. Knowing when to deploy LeBron. When he needs him to go hard, he's doing a good job of that, keeping the team together. Every night when I see Davis, he's out there playing with his head on fire. But the biggest move he's done so far, he put D'Lo to the bench. we didn't know how that was going to go, but so far it's worked out. D'Lo's look better. Now they're even saying, hey, maybe we won't even trade D'Lo. And I'm sure he appreciates it because if he keeps this up, hey, maybe D'Lo will be a 6-man of the year contender. So shout out to JJ because so far, y'all thought he was just LeBron's wine drinking buddy, but the move is seeming to pay off so far. So I guess that's my thing. But what you said, the family, all that was ingrained in him, which makes me feel like it's a culture because the one thing he does is somebody comes out, he figures out how to bring the next one in. I think that's the culture thing. I think that's what Dion down there in Colorado right now is he's setting the culture. There was something you actually brought up, Jay, about Dion. Do you think what was it was a question you said something along the lines of was the Dion would they basically run the table or something along that lines you asked about that in Colorado? What were your thoughts on that when you asked that earlier this week?
So my take on it was, if Colorado runs the table and they get into the playoffs, right? It's what everybody wants to see. I feel like we want to see the big ticket. We want to see something, some flash, some flair, right? We want some personality there. So I feel it's more of we'd like to see somebody in the college playoff. Now Saban's not there, right? It's not like, well, who's going to beat Saban? It's like, well, can Prime beat all of these coaches that have been there, done that in his first chance and his first opportunity? So it brings that excitement. But my thing was he has these guys believing so much. Remember a month ago, it's like Colorado can't play defense. Colorado can't defend anybody.
Yeah.
Now it's like, who can stop Colorado because they're playing so much better on the defensive side of the ball. If you can't stop them, you're getting rolled on. So, right, a little bit of time, a little bit of patience. Let it set in, let everybody get healthy. And all of a sudden, Prime has these guys believing to the point where, we can win out the Big 12. So that's what I was thinking, like, if they do win out the Big 12, it's set up perfect because BYU just lost to Kansas. But now we're in a position where Kansas is about to play giant killer to Colorado right now. So I was thinking, man, is Kansas the giant killer or can Prime get over this final hurdle? Because I feel like this is the final hurdle they have to get over. And they're going to be chugging right in there because I think it'll end up being them and Boise State maybe playing the Big 12 championship game. At this point,
Boise State's not even in the Big 12.
Sorry.
You're between Colorado, BYU, Arizona State, or
BYU and Arizona State. That's it. Yep.
That's where you're at right now.
Yep. Yeah. Sorry, Boise State replaced BYU as the next, right? As the next in line.
So who do you think is the class of the Big 12 right now?
That's tough, man. It's the gauntlet right now, right? BYU plays, Arizona State this week, and that's a knockout game for either team. And I feel Colorado's in the driver's seat because of that.
Okay. Mike, we basically saying those are the 4 in the Big 12. What do you think is the class of the Big 12 at this moment?
Well, I have to stand on the fact that it's not BYU because I've been pretty vocal about how I didn't think BYU was going to make the playoff. And for those of you that commented that they were going to go undefeated, who was right? So at this point, it very well might be Colorado in the end, which is crazy. Like you said, crazy to say after like a month ago, most people were writing Colorado off as like, oh, they're just not going to make it. So, I mean, man, if BYU loses another game.
And they are the underdogs at Arizona State this weekend, by the way. So they're not favored to win that game.
Is Colorado favored to beat Kansas?
Yes.
Yes.
By 3.
I'm going to lean Colorado off top partly because, especially when you look at them versus like a BYU, I don't think the BYU people keep up with the athleticism of the Colorado players. There's some damn athletes on that team. The problem with Colorado at times is that depth is where you get worried, as long as these guys can stay healthy. But if you, assuming everybody shows up and the best players on that field, Colorado's athletes, I think, are going to be hard for BYU to basically run with. So I would say Colorado in that case. This being said, because we're talking a lot about the Big 12, and the Big 12, in my opinion, I wouldn't call them the class of college football. Mike, a lot of people right now are saying the Big 10 is the best college football conference. Is this true, or do you think it's somebody else at this moment?
I think they've got a really good claim to it. I think they have a really good claim to it. Especially with Indiana being so good this year, that's like that out of nowhere, which the Big 10 normally never has to their credit. It's hard for me to say still that it's not the SEC, just because I'll use their own slogan for them. It's different here. It's tough for me to say with how competitive we've seen the SEC be this year, where seemingly everybody in the conference can beat anybody. That may be a detriment to them in the sense of like, oh, none of them are really that good. But at the same time, it's like, although having the top two ranked teams in the country helps the Big Ten a lot. It's tough, man. But I'm
it
going to
really
lean
helps.
SEC for now. I'm going to lean SEC for now. We'll see how this year's playoff turns out.
You know, it really helps when you have 4 of the top 5 teams in the same conference, and that would be the Big Ten.
It's the lower, it's the other end of it, though.
But honestly, I think the middle of the Big Ten is about equal with the middle of the SEC at this point. I really do.
Yeah,
I think
bottom of the SEC is better than the bottom of the Big Ten.
Isn't that much of a difference? No offense, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, all these type of teams, Mississippi State.
Vandy beat Bama.
Yeah, but Bama's down, which is partly why the SEC can't go because
They're in the playoff.
Bama is, huh?
They're in the playoff.
Yeah, for now they'll be out in like a week. At the end of the day, when you got 4 of the top 5, it's hard not to say that this is not the best conference in college football. They're holding literally 4 of the top 5, the top 2 right now. When you watch on a weekly basis, those teams look like they can play with anybody. I watch a lot of these SEC teams have laps. So one thing I will say is, okay, yeah, you can say Vandy beat Alabama, but that's because it was a vulnerable Alabama team. You know what the hell wasn't going to happen? Oregon wasn't going to go out here and lose to one of the bottom Big Ten. They weren't going to go out here and lose to Northwestern. It wasn't going to happen. Yeah, it wasn't going to happen because Oregon is that much better. Yeah, I guess you could say the gap was closer. I would say maybe they have a little more parity, but that doesn't make them a better conference. So I would say at this point, this moment, the Big Ten is the better conference. And the interesting thing, and I'm going to ask you this, Jay, is are we going to start to see more conference or finals matchups where we see 2 teams from the same conference? Because I think we are with this 12 team. It's a lot more variance where we may have a shot to see 2 Big Ten teams. The next year's 2 SEC teams. Mm-hmm. Do you find that to be possibly true, Jay?
Absolutely, because you could have pitted against it not happening prior to, right? You could have had them play each other to guarantee that you won't have a finals matchup. And so now, it's so wide open with a 12-team playoff. How can you set the playoff up in a manner to do that? But remember, sometimes, presence in the moment kind of plays a part in all of this, right? And you're right. Right now, we're talking in this moment, yes, the Big Ten seems like they are the most competitive or best conference because once upon a time, the SEC had 6 of the top 7 teams in the country. But like we said, at some point, they were going to all beat each other up. And when they win, whoever wins, you can't keep them up there as a top 5, 6, 7 seed. You got to drop them to 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 like we've seen. But let me bring my crystal ball out here for a second for you guys, because what we saw last year was perhaps it was a change of the tide because Michigan and Washington being in the the college football playoff finals was the first time an SEC team wasn't in there since 2015. And what happened in 2015? Maybe we see that again. Are we going to see an Ohio State, Oregon at the time? It wasn't 2 Big Ten teams, but it's setting up potentially where we can get that matchup because despite the 2 teams playing each other as a 1 and a 2, I can't see them penalizing the loser that much. What are you going to drop them to 3? It still means they don't play each other until the finals, right? You're not going to drop them to 4 or 5. They're going to drop them to 3. Oregon moves to 3. Ohio State drops to 3. Somebody jumps them, whether it's Texas or wherever. That's it.
Well, the one thing, though, is makes you weird because, the top 4 is the conferences. 5 is whoever they decide to.
All right.
So Ohio State or Oregon, whoever is probably number 5.
That's right. You're correct. Yep. The way they set up rankings. So they will play in the semifinals most likely. Yep.
They would have to, but unless somebody somehow slipped. But the thing is, if let's say it was back in that day where Ohio State got hot, maybe a 7 seed gets hot in the same conference and they face each other later. So, or let's say it's last year's Georgia team, maybe they get hot because a lot of people thought that if last year's Georgia team would have got in, they might have maybe they find a way to sneak in and they actually end up in the championship. I guess that's the one thing with the 12-team playoff. Quick thing here, and I feel bad for this conference, the ACC. We have not addressed this. Mike, who's the class of the ACC? I guess we clearly are biased against the ACC based on this conversation.
I mean,
this one's for North Carolina. Come on, take your shirt off.
I mean, I guess. I mean, I think the best team in the ACC is still Miami, but like,
Can we use the word putrid when describing a conference?
Somebody that has, if it's not Miami, then it's someone that has a really good chance of getting walked in the playoff.
So right now you're looking at Miami, SMU, Clemson. That's your top of your ACC.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
I'm still going with the U as the best
Yeah,
team in the ACC.
I mean, I'll go with the U, but
how far are they going to go?
We'll see.
I don't know. But I would say one thing: if I'm sitting there, and let's assume they come in probably as the 4, if I'm the 5, I'm trying to fight for 5 because I'm playing like this. I'm an Ohio State fan. There's a realistic chance if we don't beat Oregon, we can show up as the 5, and I would by all means love to go play the ACC championship with the 5 seed going into the playoff. Just me, Jay. Who you got? ACC. Who's the class of ACC right now?
I have jumped on board the Trey Miami train, and I am willing to say now that Miami is the front runner. They will remain the front runner. They have the best player in the conference. Because of that, they do have the competitive edge. And now knowing that they can host a home game, I bet you they're begging to have that host game at noon, where the temperatures may cool off slightly in South Florida, but not at noon on a Saturday, so they could put that road team baking in the sun from somewhere in the Midwest, sweating that damn balls off down there in Miami. Advantage Miami, but not so fast. Who might be there next? Oregon or Ohio State. That's where the train comes to a very violent halt.
Yeah, because it's realistic that is who the ACC champ plays. I've been looking more at the bracket, so I'm like, man. Now, that being said, at the time you didn't want to lock that in. Now, we made some revisions. We're going to go make some money today. There's a lot of people, they came here, they want to get paid. Like I said last week, it's Christmas time. Black Friday's coming up real fast. There's going to be some great sales. Jay, people need some locks. The streets need to hear what your locks of the week are. We need to go get this money. What you got?
Boy, let's give you these locks of the week this week. And last week, what a disappointment, man. BYU comes out and plays their worst game. Literally at least 2 or 3 chances to take the game into their hands. Big up to Kansas, though. And big shout out to Baby J12, who commented on our locks of the week last week that said, hey, man, you don't know what you're talking about. These Jayhawks are better than you think. And they also commented and said, why don't you bring me on the show? Well, guess what? If this lock hits this week, Baby J12, we might just bring you on as a guest because I am a believer all of a sudden. And Colorado and Kansas will play each other this week. And I am taking the under at 59.5 because I saw what the Jayhawks did to BYU's offense. It was non-existent. They're going to try and slow the game down. They're going to try and play rough, tough style of football, and that's their brand of football. I think that's how you get to Colorado. You punch them in the mouth early. All these speedsters and flasher players, you punch them early, and all of a sudden you kind of have them backing up like, whoa, what the hell? We didn't expect Kansas to come out like this. It's going to be a physical game, so I see it being the under. So take under 59.5 in the Colorado-Kansas game. And one of the premier NFC matchups, one of the premier all-time matchups in the NFC, the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field, hosting the San Francisco 49ers. It's what we were hoping for. San Francisco desperate for a win. Jordan Love already making his comments. We can't wait to get our shot at these guys. They knocked us out the playoffs last year when we were one of the hottest teams going into San Fran. Everybody knew it was going to happen, and they really did embarrass Green Bay. So you know Green Bay has circled this game. But we also know that San Fran has to win. They're 5-5. They're last in the NFC West. And Purdy might not be 100%. In fact, I heard he might not play right now because he's questionable. But you know they're going to suit him up anyway, and they'll injection 1-2-1-2. Purdy on the field. Let's do it. We need the win. So take the Packers to cover 2 against the Niners because this Niners team does not have an identity right now, and the Green Bay Packers do. And that is win games and get into the playoffs. We've seen them win ugly games. We've seen them win big games. We've seen them blow out teams. And Jordan Love's excited for his moment here. Once he takes care of the ball, and I think he will, Green Bay wins this game. So Packers to cover 2 against the Niners, under 59.5, Colorado, Kansas. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you lock it in and get yourself an extra turkey next week for your family.
Gotta get those extra turkeys. Gotta go feed the family. Y'all need to lock it in. Last week, it was a little rough. We were just teasing y'all. You know, sometimes you gotta fall down to go make a great comeback. So lock it in. Hey, DraftKings, FanDuel, if y'all want to sponsor us, by all means, we're here. Jay, come on. He'll give his
kudos to that Denver defense. We won that one by a half point. It was 44.5. Denver holding those dirty bird Falcons to 6 points. We won that one by a half point. We'll take it.
Big comeback coming soon. Big comeback coming soon. Speaking of making some money, we're going to play a new game today. We're going to play a game called NIL, let's make a deal. Now, of course, the NIL has been a big thing, and we seen the other week it was the quarterback. He's going to LSU, and he turned Michigan down for estimated $10 million. And said, "Look, I'm not going out here to play with those sorry ass referees." Yeah, I said it. I'm an Ohio State fan. But that being said, the way we're going to play this game, we're going to throw out a scenario to the squad, and we're going to see, would you take this NIL deal, or would you say, you know what? No, this is good enough for me to handle this. I'm going to do the first round, and I'm going to shoot the tire. The way I'm gonna do this for this round, I'm gonna shoot out 2 scenarios for each of y'all, similar scenarios, so they're almost identical, but it applies to each of your own sports fandom. For Mike, your scenario, and I'll spit Jamie's out real quick, would be you'll make $4 million per year, have unlimited passes to any WWE event as long as you're enrolled at the university. The school you will be attending is Duke to play basketball. To Jamie, very similar scenario. You'll have $4 million per year. You'll have paid trips anywhere around the world to go surf, unlimited, as long as you're enrolled at university. The school you're enrolled at is Louisville to play basketball. Mike, let's make a deal. Are you coming to Duke with it? Come on, we got the offer on the table.
Okay. So $4 million.
$4 million.
Unlimited passes to any WWE event as long as I attend. As long as
you're enrolled in the university.
As long as I am enrolled at Duke University.
Yes.
See, you're testing where's the line of my morals? Deal. I'll go. But I won't like it.
But you get to see a tribal champ anytime you want to.
Yeah, but I'm a dookie. I'll secretly, internally.
What's my base amount that I'm getting?
So you're $4 million a year.
$4 million. Unlimited surf trips to anywhere I want once I'm enrolled in the university.
Anywhere you want to go surf. Paid for as long as you're enrolled at Louisville on a basketball school.
As you can see, red looks great on me. I love a team that already has a bird representing them as their logo. So hell yeah, I'm taking that deal, man. It costs a shitload of money to fly out to French Polynesia and Australia and Japan and places I may never go surf. But if it's on your dime, hell yeah. And guess what? Fuck you in the off season. I'm surfing for 5 months. I'll see you in August or September, right in time for my sophomore year.
Okay. We took the deal. Jay, what deal you got for us?
All right, gentlemen. So I'm not going to make it specific to a team, but I'm going to make it more about if this offer came on the table, would you be willing to take it? And I brought out my a la Mr. Wonderful hair this time for you guys. So here's what it is, okay? First and foremost, you guys seem like good guys. You did tell me that you care about your community. So I'm going to give you $100,000 each year you're here for any cause that you care for. So philanthropically, you got $100,000. You can give it away to any cause that you attach yourself to, and that's a la you. That's in your name, and you get to be the one that presents that to whatever organization, be it that you are, that you love, that you want to support. Top of that, you're going to get $500,000 per game. Okay, you get $500,000 per game. However, if you get hurt, it's done. It stops right there. And that is, if you're going to throw a team out there, Trey, you got to wear that blue and maize. Mikey, you got to wear Miami uniform.
Nope, not doing it. I love charity, but I'll figure it out because I see the thing is, I can go. I would rather I can go to Purdue or somebody. The way I look at it, if the University of Michigan is offering me, then goddamn it, Indiana or somebody, I'll go play out there with Cincinnati or something. Maybe I'll take $300,000. Maybe I'll take a piece of that and donate it on my own. Nope, not getting me. I'm not out here. And then you're talking about getting hurt. I gotta go pay for Sharon Moore. Probably gonna get hurt anyways. That guy's not gonna call a game. Hell no. Taking that money. No.
Passing up a potential $7 million if you make it through the season and win 2 games in the playoffs.
I'll figure it out somewhere else. I am not playing in that big house with that jersey. I'm going to the little house.
All right, Mikey. You're ready
Yeah,
you're ready in West Florida. You're ready, Central Florida.
I'm not taking the deal. I'm not, and it's not because of Miami, because I don't mind Miami. It's because you're offering me a great opportunity to make $7 million, but there's no security to it. Like, if I get hurt, I miss it. Like, for every game I miss, I'm losing $500,000 of it. Like, it just I want something more secure. I don't care who's offering it to me. I want something more secure than that.
But so in the back of your mind, you're not saying to yourself, when I make that first 500 grand, I'm gonna buy a cryo chamber. I'm gonna hire the best freaking therapist there is. I'm gonna freaking buy every damn thing I can buy to make sure I'm healthy.
It doesn't matter.
All right.
Sometimes you're just gonna get hurt.
So
I got
you
that.
play into your senior year. You play into your senior year. Chances are you missed 2 games. You just turned down $55 million.
Yeah, but if Miami's to Trey's point, if Miami's offering me this deal, there's got to be a deal out there that can also get me those things to not get hurt and
55 million
more guaranteed.
Okay.
Maybe not 55. I just don't know if I'm. Yeah, that's risky.
It's 50 at least.
It's the health risk. It's the health risk. That's what makes that so hard. Mike, okay. What deal you got for us to look at?
Okay, so
25, not 50, 25 at least. I double that up too quick. Double your money.
You two are exceptional athletes. You're fine athletes that I would love to have among our program. And of course, that program is the best football school in the country, and that is the University of Notre Dame.
Oh boy.
So, and you know what? Money's all well and good. Obviously, you're going to get money offers, and I'm sure there would be a money part of this, but we're going to focus on the things that make the university different. What can we offer you that's different? So, gentlemen, to come to the University of Notre Dame, I offer you not only whatever money that the boosters are offering you, but I personally will offer you your own flavor, and you get to consult on this, your own flavor of Teeling Irish whiskey, the official Irish whiskey of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and banners depicting your name, image, and likeness next to Touchdown Jesus.
I mean, we got Caribbean Jesus here, so I mean,
I already have my own. My own
perfect. Jesus, it's a brand.
No, I'm not.
I don't live in Indiana. Hell no, I ain't taking that deal. Plus, if you put me next to Jesus, he's still gonna shine. So it's not like you're looking at me anyway. You ain't praying to me and my banner. You praying to Jesus. So it don't matter. You're not looking my way. When you go by that statue, you turn it real quick and say, "Oh, we ain't need to put the Lord's name in vain by marketing next to him." No, those Catholics, they know the right thing to do. It's not going to be look at my banner and support me and everything that I do and whatever I'm attached to. Hell no. I don't give 2 shits about a whiskey in my name, bro. I don't want no whiskey in my name. First of all, I'm not for promotion of alcohol in sports to begin with. So, nope, no deal. No thank you. And plus, never do I want to live in Indiana. Even though I've been there and jumped in the limestone quarries, which is a lot of fun when I was younger, that ain't the city for me. That ain't the state for me.
You know, and to a lot of his points, that's why I had to say no. I'm okay. I'm like, do I want to put my name on a liquor? But then I'm also putting my name on a liquor next to Jesus. And I'm like, I don't know. They're like, yeah, that guy's liquor. And then he's up here next to Jesus. And no offense, but I have to stay in South Bend, Indiana. I mean, maybe if I was in Indianapolis or somewhere, I want to stay in South Bend, Indiana. I mean, the only good thing to cover South Bend, Indiana is Tiana Trump. I mean, shout out to her if you ever, cat any of her flicks or anything like that, fine. But anyways, not too much came out of South Bend, Indiana. Nah. And I gotta no. That's it. I'm just replaying this out more. I can just imagine me being protested as I have the TreyDay whiskey, and it's a picture outside of there, and they're at game day with TreyDay whiskey next to a picture of Touchdown Jesus, and I'm getting protested. No, I'm good. I'm not doing this. I'm not fighting. Then some of the Catholics versus the convicts, they're gonna look at me like I'm the damn convict.
I'm right.
So no, I don't think I'm gonna do this. I guess the moral of this story is there's a lot of offers out there. Some of these are crazy, and I am really interested to watch some of these crazy offers. We're only a couple years NIL. These offers are going to get more and more ridiculous. And I would say this for y'all watching this show: If y'all got offers, put them in the comment section. Let's see what offers y'all got. If we would take it, I think it actually would be a really fun exercise. See, what are you actually willing to do for NIL? And what are you like? Hell no, I got morals. I'm not doing this, or this ain't for me. When we talk about morals, though, the other night I'm watching on Netflix when it wasn't buffering, and I was kind of watching this fight thing, and it was Jake Paul, it was Mike Tyson, it was Mike Tyson just sitting there, and he tripped when he was coming out, and then he had a knee brace on, and everybody in the house was watching with us is like, is that dude wearing a knee brace? Oh shit, this is gonna be ugly. This is gonna be a debacle. But you know what I kind of took from that, and I don't know if y'all had any takeaways. Actually, Mike, you're the wrestler guy. Do you have any takeaways from that? Did you watch it?
No, I didn't watch it because I knew it was going to be exactly what it was. Listen. I bit on the Mayweather Pacquiao fight. I will not again.
I was actually in Vegas for the Mayweather Pacquiao fight.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I was actually at fun. It was fun ass weekend. It was a lot of parties, a lot of celebrities. Some of which may have tapes coming out soon, and I'm pretty sure I saw them going to certain parties when we were out there. I wasn't at those parties personally. I was only at the pre-party, not the after-party, so I would not be in those tapes. Jay, did you catch that buffering event on Netflix at all?
You mean the one that you couldn't really buffer because Netflix was completely unprepared for something like this because the internet was ready to break the internet to see Mr. Jake Paul and Tyson fight? Unfortunately, not. And same thing I said all week long. I'm like, look, most of Jake Paul's fights have been against people who can barely hold themselves in a ring. He fought little people. He fought older people. You know, you're saying he fought the most ferocious maybe fighter of all time. But Mike's like we saying this, man. Mike is in a new place in his life, man. He's in a new headspace. It was all for games. You could tell it was all showing games. You knew the outcome from the get-go. So I did not catch it, and I didn't really care to catch it. You know what? It really threw me off when I heard my 9-year-olds in practice talking about watching the fight. I'm like, all right, hell no, I got nothing to do with this anymore. Last, we bid farewell to one of my favorite athletes of all time, Rafael Nadal, who announced his retirement last month and most likely played in his final match last night for Spain in the Davis Cup. Ironically, his only losses in the Davis Cup came during his first match and his last match of his career, as he carried a career 29-1 record going into his match last night. In pure Rafa style, he smiled when asked about that in the post-match interview, stating, "We closed the circle tonight." Though injuries took their toll in his final 2 years, as he made mention of feeling super privileged to make a career out of his hobby, having played much longer than he could have ever imagined, Rafa was still the big ticket everybody wanted to see just one more time. Rafa will be remembered as the King of Clay for the 14 French Open titles he won over his illustrious career and for his unmatched competitive spirit to never give up on a point and leave everything on the court every time he played. However, I will remember Rafa as the consummate pro who epitomized class and grace as seen by his release of tears during a touching moment when the crowd kept chanting, "Rafa, Rafa," during his post-match ceremony. To solidify my sentiments above, filled with emotions, Rafa addressed the crowd for the final time, leaving a message that can resonate with any athlete of all ages. He said to the crowd, "The titles, the numbers, they are there. So people probably know that. But the way I would like to be remembered is as a good person from a small village in Mallorca. I was just a kid that followed their dreams, worked as hard as possible, and I have been very lucky. Thank you, Rafa, for making tennis fun for over 2 decades. Your presence will echo in the halls amongst the greatest players of all time forever. And you, my friend, will forever be remembered as a tennis player that stole my heart and the heart of billions. Farewell, Rafael Nadal."
Yeah, I mean, Tyson's oldest be a grandfather, so that's not going to fly. The one thing I was taking from that, though, was I already knew Logan was doing the wrestling thing. And then I was looking at Jake, and I said, you know what, these guys would be some hellified promoters. Then I started thinking to myself, there's a lot of athletes that I think would be really dope if they went to AEW or WWE. We do have a resident wrestling expert here in Mike, and there's always a lot of his mind. Mike, if there was an athlete, any sport right now, who would you like to see maybe take a second career and become a professional wrestler when they're done with their first career?
So, a lot of, I'll tell you from my experience, a lot of the most successful pro athletes that have played at the highest level to transition to wrestling effectively have been football players, because it's tackling and grappling and understanding like body movement, and they're so it's I think it's a more seamless transition for them than a lot of other sports. So I leaned into that, knowing that that's where we should go for a successful wrestler. And there's one that stands out above the rest over in the NFL, and that is the tight end for the San Francisco 49ers. It is
That was
George
one of my
Kittle. That man would be phenomenal. He's got the look, he's got the build, he's got the charisma, he's got the fan base already, and there's that little bit of twinkle in his eye that you need in wrestling to be a bit crazy, because if you're going to put yourself through ladders and tables and get hit in the head with chairs and things like that, you got to be a little crazy. So I think Kittle would be fantastic, and I'm pretty sure I've seen him at a few events, and he likes the product a lot. So maybe someday.
That was actually one of my answers too, and I was like, I could definitely see him there, because I could kind of see Kittle being like some Hardy Boys shit where he would gladly like be. I could see him in the tables, ladders, and chairs matchup, just going crazy and spazzing out and going to the top of a ladder and taking a table or taking somebody through a table. Like I could just literally see that.
Oh yeah.
The one for me and my other off the board one is a little bit different. You don't really think of basketball guys necessarily going to wrestling. I remember years ago the asshole Karl Malone. Yeah, and I called him that. That asshole Karl Malone was out there wrestling with my guy Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman's that asshole. Shout out to Dennis.
Yeah.
It's open invite anytime you want to come on, Dennis. Karl Malone, you don't have an open invite. Actually, Carl, yeah, we'll have you on the show.
Carl, don't.
Yeah, we'll have you on the show. I don't think you'll like how it goes. But anyways, looking at the NBA, I said, okay, we want to have charisma. That's a big thing when you watch wrestling. You have a guy who he's going to be fun, but he's going to be competitive as hell. A guy who's probably going to go out and say, I think I can be the best guy at this. Anthony Edwards, I think, would be so fun to actually make as a wrestler. When you look at Anthony, he has the personality. I remember him going to the Olympics and saying, I can go out here and I can play the best ping pong. I remember him saying, I think I go to NFL and play receiver. I probably could start quarterback for the Vikings. So I think he would have that personality that he could play either a great face, because people seem to be drawn to that guy and like him. But if he wanted to, he could also play a heel, because he is just enough of a guy who could probably play an asshole, who he would be something like, he would be like your tribal chief was in his best days, where it was irresistible. Yes, it was irresistible.
By the way, as a side note, Jay, before you go, I do have to share my absolute appreciation for the fact that Trey just used the technical terms of face and heel. I appreciate that.
Wrestling growing up was a very big thing in the household.
Yes.
So I think Edwards would be great to have on there. Then I remember when he did the movie with Sandler, and he was really good at acting. And I'm not saying an acting point of saying like wrestlers and actors, but saying that you have to sell a show. And he sold me on he's actually this guy in this thing. And I think eventually he would sell you on he's actually this guy. Even if he isn't the guy he's portraying in wrestling, you would start to believe maybe he's really like this outside the ring. So I would love to see Anthony, even if it's for a night. And like the next time, to me, I don't know when they go, but the next time they go to Minnesota, WWE, do an event, please invite Edwards just to show up for a night, because I think he would have steal the show for that night just as a special guest. Jay, I remember in the
just
comments,
personality, man. Like just from a personality standpoint too, you know what I mean? So
I remember people in the comments saying Jay looked like Roman Reigns. So who's gonna come out and be the next Roman Reigns as a professional athlete?
There you go.
All right, so I kind of went NBA here with you too, and I thought like I used to like those, high flying guys that would kind of get under your skin. I was a big, Shawn Michaels guy, so then I'm thinking like who could be the kind of guy that comes out? He's kind of smaller stature, but he kind of takes anybody on, doesn't matter your size, and he has that grunge about him, and you figure like, damn, I think this guy would probably fit perfect in the ring, and that's Pat Beverly. Who else is he's the biggest asshole in the NBA. Of course, he's going to be the most hated man in the arena instantly. This guy's going to come out feeling like he's the shit. And the cool thing about it is, with his basketball skills, he's not a big high flyer, but I can see him being one of those guys going off the ropes. I can see him having one of those like real, like, just flashy special moves to finish off. Knowing him, he could do like this crossover move where he comes out on a crossover and then spears you or something like that. Some kind of basketball element to it. But he'd be a great shit talker. they'd probably match him up against a huge opponent. So it would look like he was unmatched, and he'd probably end up winning that match somehow. And he'd probably cheat and find a way to hit the guy in the head with a chair or do something behind the ref's back, knowing him. So I feel Pat Beverly has the perfect personality to transition into wrestling.
I would be throwing shit at the ring at Pat Bev. I can tell you right now. And as soon as somebody hits the steel chair, I would enjoy every second. But Pat Bev, to be honest, he's one of those guys I couldn't stand, and he went to play for the Lakers for a minute. I'm like, I like this guy. Like you love him when he's on your team, but you hate him when he's not on your team.
Right.
That's the crazy part about that.
Players on the New York Giants have said that they feel that the benching of Daniel Jones has a lot to do, if not everything to do, with business and money. Of course it does. The guy's got a $15 million injury clause where if he gets hurt, they owe him that $15 million no matter what they do. If he doesn't get hurt, they can cut him and don't owe him anything. So of course they're going to bench him. Of course they're going to put him third string because he's not going to play in a single game again this year. He's done as a Giant. And believe me, I wanted Daniel Jones to be as good as much as the next person. But at this point, it hasn't worked out. It's time to move on. And what's the sense in the team having to pay him $15 million just to cut him? Guys, I'm sorry. This is a business in the end at one point, and it just doesn't make sense to do. So, sorry, guys. Jones is done.
Watching wrestling though, so I watched a little bit of WrestleMania, and one of the fun parts for me was actually watching McAfee. Like I really liked how he called the game, and that kind of brings you to the thought of if you were to take some of these guys, maybe they have podcasts. Like McAfee was a podcast guy, and he gets his own show. If you were to take, and I'll throw this to you, Jay, if you were to take maybe a podcast, maybe somebody who's just funny from TV and said, okay, look, I want to see this guy or this lady be a sports broadcaster, and you think they would be successful or fun at it, who would you look at doing that?
It's the ghost of Bill Walton, guys. I will go to a witchcraft ceremony and I will resurrect the ghost of Bill Walton to bring my guy back to basketball in a spiritual form where he was already not of this planet, but he will actually not be of this planet and somehow still be calling the game. I mean, if I can actually find the right people to do that and somehow call on his ghost, oh my God, that would be the greatest thing of all time. But in all honesty, right now with people with current podcasts, who I think are pretty flashy personalities, I might have to say Joe Budden maybe. So, he kind of has that edge to him. You know what I mean? I kind of feel like they get on your skin a little bit, and I kind of like that. I kind of like someone who's gonna kind of make you feel like, damn, I don't know if I really like this guy. He's gonna speak his mind. He's probably gonna talk about gambling during the damn game too thing. And I freaking took this guy, top 3 catches, throw him the damn ball. You know what I mean? So I feel like I like the way that he kind of has that neutrality to him, and you never really know what's gonna come. So. There's so many people you could choose, though. I mean, I kind of like the classics, too. You know what I mean? Like, you can't get better than Tarico and Herb Street if you want 2 guys that are classy as hell, to give you what you want in a broadcaster. So transitioning to the guys we have now, if you want the perfect team, I think that's the perfect team if you put those 2 guys together and just have them call every big championship game that there is.
Betting online, I could already see it would be just like when you read his comments, it would be 50-50. Half the people would be like, get this guy the hell off my TV. Half the people would be like, you know what, he makes a good point. Button would be an interesting one, just kind of knowing how his whole path has been. Back when he had Rory and Mile, and now him, I forgot the guy's names. I don't really listen the way I used to have the guys he has on there now. Mike, who would you put in the booth?
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have ever seen them before. If not, let me know. I'll share them with you. There's this podcast network up in Canada called the Steve Dangle Podcast Network. I think I've shown Jay before his it's Steve Dangle. He started with a YouTube channel where he just screams about every Toronto Maple Leafs game. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of parlayed that. He worked in mainstream Canadian sports media with Sportsnet. And now he's kind of parlayed that into his own podcast network with 2 of his buddies, Adam and Jesse, that they had before, and then they've gone pretty much pro with it. And I think specifically hockey, but I think they could do anything, but specifically hockey for them would just be a lot of fun. I mean, Steve gets fired up and he gets real like animated when he's talking about stuff, and Adam's like the host. He's got a radio background, so he could be like the play-by-play guy, and Jesse's like the stat guy. He brings all the stats. So I think as like a 3-man booth, they would really work well together like they do on their show. I think they could really call and break down a game really well. So that would be my pick. I find them super entertaining.
Okay, so if I was going just straight up for the jokes, I would put Castanet in the booth just because that guy. Like, look, we just come here to laugh. Maybe if it was like a Tyson and Jake Paul type event or a game, I just absolutely I don't give a damn about this. But if I wanted the balance of entertainment with actually having some X and O's on the podcast side, I would take the Nightcap crew, Shannon Sharp and Ocho, because those two, they know sports clearly. I mean, these two are both Sharp being a Hall of Famer, Ocho being at the time one of the best players in the game. But they're fun. I love watching them after the game. And I guess what we're hearing is inside the NBA, maybe going over to ESPN, so maybe we're not losing that. But when I don't have them, that's one of my other lean-ons. I love when I get done with the game, I'm like, oh, let me turn YouTube on. I'll just lay down and maybe listen to them before I'm falling asleep. But sometimes I'm like, it's 1 o'clock, I need to go to sleep. And then I'm like, fuck, it's 2 o'clock. Now I got another interesting topic, not even off base. And the fun part with them I like is they will talk to X and O's, but I can see a scenario where it's a blowout and they're still going to be funny. So it's like, okay, they keep me entertained, because one of the hardest things for an announcer is there's a blowout game and I need to figure out how I'm going to fill out this game for the next 2 quarters or next 5 innings when this game is clearly over and y'all are still here, and I'm just awkwardly sitting there trying to figure out how to be excited. So,
yo, that's what I feel like. Same thing about Joe Budden. I feel like he interacts with so much of the athletes now. He'd be like, yo, let me tell you about this time when me and this dude was like so-and-so, and he come out a story, and the guy's like, you can't say that on the air right now. Right. And that's, I mean, Ocho and friggin' Uncle probably do the same thing, you know? Because Ocho knows everybody. Ocho knows everybody's dark side in the NFL.
Right, they're gonna go up.
Did you see his interview when they asked him how many kids you got? He said 8. How many baby mamas? He said 8. And the guy goes, oh. He goes, but technically it's 1. He goes, what do you mean? He said, well, you know, we just function as one family. So I got 1 baby mama.
Hey, that does make it 1. Yeah, shout out to those guys. Shout out to everybody's podcast. Shout out to those podcasts. If y'all are watching, folks, y'all should go watch their podcast, check our podcast out, forward our info to them. Maybe they want to bring us on. Maybe they want to come on here. We'd be perfectly down for that. Earlier in the day, we gave y'all some picks. Jay gave y'all some locks of the week. We've been doing a bonus thing, though. We've been starting to kind of give y'all some picks. You know, maybe y'all want to go out here and make some extra money. There's a lot of big games coming up. We're looking at the NFL. We're looking at college football. We only got, 2 more games before the conference championships in college football. In NFL, we're past the halfway point. So we're going to do just like we've been doing the past few weeks is we're going to go around and we pick 5 games. And guess what, y'all? We have a bonus pick this week. We're going to give y'all the scores for these games. And we will go around the table. So the games for this week that we are looking at are going to be the Indiana Hoosiers versus Ohio State Buckeyes.
Hold on, Mikey. Hold on, Mikey. Who are they playing? Indiana versus who?
The Ohio State Buckeyes.
That's better.
Yes, that would be a big game. The big noon game will be there. We'll have Army versus Navy, BYU versus Arizona State. In the NFL, we have the 49ers versus the Packers, the Ravens versus the Chargers, and we have the battle of the roommates. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing the New York Giants.
The Giants.
So, the way we'll do, I'll start it, Jay will go, Mike will go. Then we'll just keep going around. We'll give our picks of the scores for these games. First up, we have Indiana versus Ohio State. I have Indiana 23, my Ohio State Buckeyes 33.
Hoosiers 17. The Buckeyes of Ohio State 30.
The Buckeyes of Ohio State 21. The Hoosiers of Indiana 28.
Ooh.
Okay. We have Army versus Notre Dame. Shout out to the military. We have 28 Army and touchdown Jesus 17.
Those Army Knights ain't gonna get the job done. Army 10, Notre Dame 31.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. The Irish will get it done. Notre Dame 21, Army 14.
Next, we have BYU, Arizona State. I have BYU 23, Arizona State 30.
BYU 23, Arizona State 24.
BYU 23, Arizona State 27.
Okay, on to the NFL. We have the 49ers versus the Packers. Of the 49ers, 28. The Pack, 24.
49ers 16, Pack 20.
49ers 20, Pack 17.
Monday Night Football. We have the Battle of the Hardballs. We have Ravens versus Chargers. I have the Ravens 31. The Khaki Man and his Chargers, 17.
I got John 24, Jim 26. That'd be Ravens 24, Chargers 26.
I have Ravens 30, Chargers 14.
Okay, we'll do a bonus pick this week. We have Grandpa Jay's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We have Mike's New York Giants. Who knows who's playing quarterback over there this week? I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 21. The Giants, 20.
Bucks 28, G-Men 16.
Tommy Cutlets and New York Giants 13, Bucks 10.
Get out of
Okay.
here.
Yeah, interesting. Y'all got to set a little side bet. You know, somebody else has to take
is.
the trash out for the week or something.
Now, let's put that side bet on right now. I'll give you a Cinco Squad W that I currently have from Stump the Squad if we lose.
Okay.
And if you win today, you give me the dub.
Deal.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds like we have a deal. We will keep updated, folks. We have a deal. But the only way to actually figure out who's going to win Stump the Squad is you got to be at the game to play the game. So it's that time of day. Stump the Squad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what time it is. Our favorite time of the show. Welcome, boys and girls and ghouls and goblins, because now is where we test each other's sports knowledge and trivia, and we want to test your knowledge too. Don't cheat. Don't use your laptop. Put your phones down. Play along with us. Like, subscribe, follow, play, and let us know if you are smarter than the squad. So, 2 points if you get it right. -2 if you get it wrong. Push your score, and you, my friend, have a chance to beat us this week. Only if you can answer these questions. TreyDay, what you got for us this week?
Really quick, before we start, Mike, what is our updated score? And shout out to me, by the way, for my tiebreaker last week.
Big dub. Congrats.
Allow me
Both ways, right?
Yes.
pull up the scoreboard. Yes, shout out to TreyDay for getting the win there. The scoreboard currently reads, we have Mike and Grandpa Jay tied at 4. We have Trey with 3. And John with 1.
We're getting tight here. We're getting tight, fellas. Okay, let's kick us off. Mike, can you score for us, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so let's shout out Indiana Hoosiers before we beat that ass this week. On October 25th, 1979, what event occurred at the Indiana Hoosiers versus Michigan football game? The mascot caught on fire, the announcer caught on fire, the field caught on fire, or the scoreboard caught on fire?
This scoreboard caught on fire. D.
The mascot caught on fire.
Okay, so we have Jamie going with the scoreboard caught on fire. We have Mike going with the mascot caught on fire. Today, fellas, I have successfully stumped the squad.
That's the field?
Today's
The field
answer
caught.
is the announcer caught on fire.
Oh,
What?
shit.
Now, in honor of Mike's mind, I'm going to go quick Trey's mind here. Okay, so back in 1979, October 25th, 1979, this event happened. Yes, Michigan was playing Indiana. So the Indiana announcer, Don Fisher, who's like a legendary announcer up there, his jacket catches on fire, yes, while a loose cigarette ass hits his jacket, making Dawn catch on fire as he's calling one of the final plays as Indiana, who was down 21-7, has came back to now tie Michigan. This also leads to a play in Michigan history where Michigan gets the ball, they go down, they get a 45-yard touchdown to Anthony Carter after a controversial play that some say shouldn't have existed based on some rule plays. Y'all can look a little further into that. But the point is, the announcer did indeed catch on fire during the Indiana-Michigan game back when you could smoke in the booth in 1979, folks.
Wow.
And that's what's on TreyDay's mind for today.
There you go.
Not spectacular.
I actually kind of was. I thought
ladies
Mike
and
actually know the answer to that. I almost sent you that for Mike's mind. I'm like, I'm going to use it for sense.
That'd be a great one.
Good call.
Let's go with Mike since we're talking about what's on your mind.
Yes. So, of course, guys, we talked a little bit about wrestling today. So, of course, I got to bring a wrestling question. But don't worry, it's not a strict wrestling question.
Okay.
Which of the following athletes has not won a match in WWE? Not won a match.
Okay.
A. Floyd Mayweather. B. Lawrence Taylor. C. Bad Bunny. Or D. Shaq.
You said athletes. They're calling Bad Bunny an athlete.
That's why I was kind of like Bad Bunny, like he's telling the singer guy.
I know LT1 for a fact.
Shaq.
Who was A?
Floyd Mayweather.
Floyd Mayweather. I don't see how you tarnish his reputation because all he does is win. Yeah, let's go with Shaq.
This week I have successfully stumped no one. Shaq. Shaq did not win.
Who is he? I figured Floyd for the same reason I said Floyd wouldn't even sign him. If they made him lose, he would say, I'm not coming on this show.
He beat Big Show.
And I remember Bad Bunny won because I remember seeing something about that and hearing it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then LT won at WrestleMania.
All right, let's take it home here this week. So, in honor of the Green Bay Chicago.
Wait, before we go really quick, what's our scores going to this?
Okay, so we currently stand Trey with 2, Jamie with 0, and myself with -2.
All right. In honor of the Green Bay dominance over the Chicago Bears, now being 11 in a row, and most people think it'll be 12 by the end of this season, can you guys tell me the following? Green Bay has started 4 quarterbacks against the Bears since 2000. How many quarterbacks have the Bears started against Green Bay since then?
Since 2000.
Pardon me? Since 2000.
Since 2000? Cool.
A13, B14, C15, or D16?
14.
That was my guess, too. Just stick on my gut, 14. That was my original gut.
Gentlemen, Trey, you should have priced his right his ass because I have successfully stumped the squad. The answer is 15.
It's 15. I had to go my first gut.
And so that brings us to a tie.
I think that puts us two at a tie.
It does put you two at a tie. Which means I have to find
Do you have a tiebreaker?
Suitable tiebreaker.
If not, I have a tiebreaker ready.
Well, you can't ask it because you're involved.
It's worth a try.
All right, so we do have a tie between Grandpa Jay and TreyDay. And so we discussed before that Lawrence Taylor did indeed win a match at WrestleMania, right? Can you tell me, closest to the number, how long was his match with Bam Bam Bigelow when he won?
Bam Bam Bigelow.
Throwback. How long was the match?
1 minute and 22 seconds.
1 minute, 22 seconds.
Eight minutes.
Gentlemen, we do indeed have a winner. The winner of episode 138 of Stump the Squad is Grandpa Jay. because the match lasted a
23
shocking
minutes.
11 minutes and 42 seconds.
Oh,
Oh, I didn't ready for a while.
the
That's why I
two
went
was fun. Batman Bigelow was a
every day
dog.
we're gonna have.
Batman Bigelow did not go down without a fight. I remember that.
Yeah, but usually they don't have celebrities go that long. Although,
Yeah,
honestly, Bad Bunny's match, I think, was like 20 minutes.
Yeah, they didn't milk that one.
Yeah. But yes, congratulations to Grandpa Jay. He is the one who lifted up the squad.
Circle.
However, according to the terms of the bet,
that W might be sliding.
That dub might belong to yours truly. So,
okay,
please,
so
for the
let's
love
stay
of God,
tuned.
Tommy DeVito, do well.
So let's stay tuned. Our current standings are Grandpa J 5, Mike 4, Trey 3, John 1, but we could have a flip flop on the top, depending on the Baker Man versus the DeVito Man.
Tommy Cutlets.
That's fine. Yeah,
Cool.
That too. So we'll look forward to that. We will keep you all posted if there's a flip flop in our standings, or if our standings are actually correct and where we're at. We have the Giants versus Bucks, but we have a lot of good football coming up. The NBA is starting to heat up. The NBA Cup is starting to heat up. And guess what, folks? Make sure y'all stay tuned because there will be a Star 5 episode that will be dropping this week. So make sure y'all stay tuned because it's dropping. We have a lot of NBA content coming up. We're going to start getting a little more hockey content as Mike has his Rangers hat on and he's starting to show out. John soon is going to be done partying with Cayenne and Carmelo. He'll be back soon from his hiatus of partying with his guys. And also
orange juice overdose is what I'm hearing right now. There's a current orange juice overdose happening at the after party.
Something with a bunch of orange juice and carrier domes and some other things that are going on up there. So he'll be back soon. In the meantime, people, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, give us ideas, talk. If you have opinions, feel free to shoot your opinions out. Tell us what NIL deals you would have taken. Tell us if you don't think that any of these things we're saying are accurate. If you think these picks we just made are terrible, give us your picks. Now we can compare. Don't come in and just tell us you're terrible. You give us your picks, and we'll compare. Are our picks better or your picks better? Did you make money by going off of Jay's picks, or do you think his picks were bad and made your own money? Maybe we'll take advice from you. So make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. All of our socials, Cinco Squad Pod 05. Any final thoughts, guys?
Joel Embiid, set your alarm on your phone, bro.
Let's go,
Joel
Irish.
Embiid, set your alarm on your phone. Paul George has now also gotten hurt. Maxi's hurt. I guess maybe you'll play back-to-backs, or maybe you'll be home in April.
Mm-hmm. Let's go Irish. Let's go Rangers, and let's go Giants. Let's at least not be embarrassing, please.
Let's not disappoint Mike. That being said, Cinco Squad out.